As part of the City of Tampa Stay and Play initiative, which offers extended hours at select recreation centers, Grant Park was adopted by the Safe and Sound Hillsborough Improving Neighborhoods Committee, since portions of the neighborhood are included within both the City and Hillsborough County limits. Since Friday, July 7th, this committee has volunteered at the park, ensuring programs are scheduled in the evening hours for youth, including emergency CERT training, music development, neighborhood engagement, and most recently, the teen mock trial. It truly does take a village to raise a neighborhood. This is why Safe and Sound Hillsborough was created, as it brings together various local government and community partners to help with curtailing gun violence in all our neighborhoods, both city and county-wide. Hillsborough Commissioner Kevin Beckner, the chair of this collaboration, explains.
We are a collaborative of stakeholders and the community that have come together to address the issue of violence in our community, and we want to address it on a health-based model. And this is the beginning tonight of bringing the community together to discuss a very specific issue of gun violence in our community, how it's plagued our community, how it's impacted our youth, and part of tonight's collaboration is really getting into the hearts and minds of our youth, how they perceive violence in their schools and their neighborhoods, and really start having a dialogue and understanding with the children of our community.
Because at the end of the day, we want to hear from you. How many of you don't like violence in your neighborhood?
Safe and Sound Hillsborough Acting Coordinator Freddie Barton gives an overview of this initiative and what a huge event like this meant to the Grant Park youth.
For on a Friday night to have 25 kids ages 13 to 19 from the urban core wanting to come to a courthouse, participate in a mock trial, and talk about gun violence, it speaks to the relevancy of what we're doing. It talks about the importance of addressing it and the importance of addressing those that are most impacted, the most susceptible, and the most vulnerable to violence. And that's what we're trying to do. We've got quantitative and qualitative data done, so we'll see how many kids actually have access to guns, how many kids know someone who has access, what are some of the resources that they need in their community to get them to steer away from violence, and what do they think about the concept of gun violence and how it affects them as well as their community.
The objective of this Grant Park mock trial was to allow the youth to see firsthand that gun violence can have very serious consequences, not only for them, but for anyone associated with the victims, families, and friends. Judge Ralph Stoddard shares why he and other judicial staff unanimously approved.
We had twice as many gun crimes at the end of calendar 14 as we did at the end of calendar 13. And in the first 6 months of calendar 15, we had as many as we had in all of the calendar 13. So this alarmed us. All of us judges could see anecdotally that whereas you rarely saw any kind of a gun violence crime in detention hearings, for instance, we were beginning to see them on a regular basis. So at a stakeholders meeting, some of us decided that we had to form a study group or do something and somehow address the problem, because that's one of our main responsibilities.
Your Honor, the juries have reached their verdicts.
The Grant Park mock trial provided an opportunity to research teens' perceptions and knowledge of the criminal justice system through the use of an anonymous remote response questionnaire before and after the make-believe trial. USF criminology professor Kathleen Heidi, who conducted this easy-to-use response system, explains how the Grant Park youth passed with flying colors.
Asking the kids, we're using clickers, so it's an audience response system, and the clickers are not tied to them in any way, so the data are anonymous. So when we ask them the pre-test questions at the beginning, we are asking what they think, and then later when we ask the post-test questions after the mock trial, we can match the data, but we don't know who it is. All we know is a number. And that's very important, because we assure the kids that they can be honest with us, because we don't know who they are. And yet at the same time, we can learn from the kids. And this is the whole point, is we want to know what they think and what their experiences are. And then at the end of this program, we're going to ask them, did they learn anything and how much they learned? If they want to participate again in mock trials and help other kids with mock trials, do they want to participate in teen court? And that way they'd have more experience with the judicial system. And then finally, would they recommend this to friends, and do they consider that this was a good experience? And we'll take that data and we'll make this program better.
Our youth need more real-life experiences so they can learn how to become productive adults. Life doesn't come with a manual, and there are no do-overs. But if we can give our kids a chance to see how their future could play out before them from the four walls of a courtroom, then we may save them from making mistakes that could impact their lives and families forever by giving them a chance of doing it the right way the first time. This is Carla Lewis for Spotlight Tampa.